What's up guys, welcome back to yet another menswear collection review. Today we are zooming in on Rick Owens Spring Summer 2023 fashion show. Actually, I reviewed this one shortly in my Fashion Week video series, but because it's such a great and interesting collection, figure I'd review it properly in a separate video. Anyways, let's start that this collection was Rick's second collection that drew inspiration from ancient Egypt. His previous fall-winter strobe show had a big influence in that regards. You may remember his famous lamp helmets that he came up with by combining headwear shapes of ancient Egypt with light bulbs. In similar fashion, the spring-summer collection was heavily inspired by ancient Egypt. It comes from Rick's recent retreat to Egypt, where he found great comfort in the remoteness and scale of its history. Long story short, Rick Owens calls this collection EDFU, after the Egyptian temple of Horus. At the temple of EDFU, over the main entrance, there is a carving of a winged sun, symbolizing the god of Horus, who represents the triumph of good over evil. Seems like Rick was quite impressed and moved by that kind of timelessness. Here is what he wrote in the notes. My personal concerns and global discomforts felt petty in the face of kind of timelessness. Lying down in the dirt with the Valley of Kings within the view was a perspective I liked. The temple started by one civilization, completed by another, and then unearthed by yet another, were reassuring in their stoic permanence. Alright, this show itself was held in Paris in Palais de Tokyo, which is Rick's favorite spot and Europe's largest center for contemporary art. Now, Rick shows are never boring, so this one was no exception. A huge crane was placed in the center of Palais de Tokyo. It slowly lifted flaming orbs high enough and then dropped each of them in the fountain. Here is how Rick explained it. The fireballs are flaming suns arcing across the sky and crashing to the ground. But I did it on repeat because it happens over and over. Of course, he is referring here rising and falling civilization and timelessness that we mentioned above. Now, I guess it's time to zoom in on the actual collection. As Rick explained, he was fed up with the war and constant online stone throwing. So in this collection, he wanted some order, simplicity, and quiet. Regardless, he still wanted some exaggerated shapes to gently tease all the righteousness and bigotry that create so much conflict in the world. Now, collection color palette altered between black, off-white, and gray. The collection was packed also with highly unusual color for Rick Owens, such as yellow, purple, and pink. This came as a big surprise to everyone. Looks like Rick wanted some hope and light in this collection, because his past collections have been always dark and super fatalistic. At the end of the day, those bright colors make sense because of the collection inspiration, the god Horus, which represents the triumph of good over evil. Alright, this show was opened by Tyron Dillon, Rick's longtime muse and collaborator. Tyron wore a super mini tank that was deconstructed and destroyed. It was reduced to just bindings that finished the edges. The other half of the tank was wrapped around his hips. Tyron sported also transparent pants made out of translucent leather. Rick presented a lot of looks actually using this specially treated fabric. They call it Apparition leather. Looks like Rick Owens used it to make a reference to jellyfish. As you know, jellyfish have been in existence for at least 500 million years. So just like ancient Egypt, jellyfish can be seen as a symbol of timelessness and the hope that whatever discomforts we are going through right now, we have endured worse and we have survived. Now, as you may notice, a lot of Rick's models sported power shoulders. Power shoulders or exaggerated shoulders are massive for Winter 22 runway trends. Rick Owens is a huge fan of exaggerated shapes, so he have done the same here in his Spring-Summer collection. The one difference compared to Fall-Winter 22 is that here shoulders are exaggerated but sometimes also sloped. Actually, Rick experimented a lot with shoulder shapes. In addition to exaggerated and sloped shoulders, he came up with elevated and heightened shapes, looking just like falcon wings. Well, this should not come as a big surprise, because the collection inspiration god Horus is a falcon-faced god. Yet another important piece in the collection was undoubtedly an oversized bodysuit. It was worn either with a belt and cinched at the waist or released and floating from the model's waist. This piece was used a lot in the collection. It was layered under bomber jackets, blazers, shirts, you name it. There was also a sleeveless option in loud and foggy plates. Next, let's talk about Hourglass silhouette that we kept seeing a lot. Again, just like power shoulders, Hourglass silhouette is something that Rick used a lot in his previous fall-winter collection. Well, Rick's favorite Hourglass silhouette can be done by combining a crop bomber with a long sleeveless overshirt. Probably the most fun item in the collection was a see-through hooded robe. Seems like Rick was fed up with flies and mosquitoes in Egypt and devised a fly-proof tulle caftan. It was worn over silk shirts that twisted around the hips and trailed on the floor. Actually, see-through clothing was a big thing on Spring-Summer 23 runways. Rick presented few other see-through items in this collection, such as, for instance, see-through blazers. Yet another nod to the rising Spring-Summer 23 trends were cargo pants. Rick sent out a series of cargo pants down the runway. They featured two pouchy pockets each side and wide legs that are flared out at the end. When it comes to lengths, pants were so long that they twisted and dragged under footwear. Interesting to see also denim skirts on the runway. They featured a front slit and raw edges. Models sported those skirts with a new edition of Rick's notorious Kiss boots. Now I guess it's time to check out some exotic looks in the collection. It's always fun to see what Rick Owens came up with. Well, let's start with yellow bomber jacket, which is made out of python leather. Rick presented yet another look using the same python leather. In this look, python cargo pants are combined with sleeveless leather jacket. As Rick Owens wrote in the show notes, that jacket is made out of pirarucu fish leather. Last but not least, let's have a look at the collection footwear. As mentioned already, Rick presented new take on Kiss boots. These new ones are thigh-high, look roomier, and feature stacked look. Another kind of footwear models wore on the runway were Guess runner sneakers. They feature a thick geometric sole with an angled extended heel, and they can be worn laceless. Alright, guys, what a great collection! And full of surprises, right? Those purple and yellow colors though, totally unexpected. Well, I love that Rick Owens never put boundaries or borders when it comes to his work. He always tries to come up with new stuff and do things differently. This collection for sure was no exception. Loved his new color experiment, and I think he totally pulled it off. Rick's collection was also in line with the industry-wide rising trends, such as see-through clothing, cargo pants, mini tanks, also sleeveless tops, and flared pants. And guys, that wraps up today's review. Hope you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.